Aloha and welcome to a monthly update for Green Beauty Theory. My name's Marie. What is Green Beauty Theory? Well, it's a gathering place for people who like clean beauty, green beauty, transparent beauty, mindful beauty, wellness, self-care, self-practices, mindfulness, zero waste, eco-living, sustainability, all of those things, that mindfulness that we have about what we use, what we interact with, how it's affecting us and the earth, that this is a gathering place. So if you fall in that category, welcome. What do we talk about here? Well, we could talk about all kinds of things. New makeup coming out. But we love to focus on the balance of science and intuition. Nature loves balance. And here, I truly believe that science doesn't exist without our personal insights, intuitions, observations. That's what science stems out of. That's what the scientific method is. And so this group, this gathering of us is a result of people saying that this movement, clean, green, natural, organic beauty, it's not scientific. And that couldn't be further from the truth. So today I bring it back to something that I've just been droning on about. Who's tired of hearing about it? But I come back to parabens. Because parabens is one of these places that these discussions started. Now, let's lay it out, a disclaimer on the table. What are parabens? They are a preservative put in your products to decrease mold. Are they probably safe in one product? Yeah, probably. If you used a 3-product routine, would they probably be safe? Would you notice any health impacts? Probably not. When we take it to the 3,000-foot view, that's where we get to today. Okay, and this is something that I've been harping on back and forth on, because there seems to be this resurgence of people wanting us to, as Mercedes from Law More says, reconsider parabens. And myself, being a healthcare professional, I'm an RN, I say, there's no way I'm reconsidering parabens. And here's why. So let's jump back in. So here's the study I want to talk about today. Cosmetic and personal care product use, urinary levels of parabens, benzophenones, and risk of endometriosis. Results from the EndEA study. Now, is this study going to tell us that parabens are bad and we shouldn't use them? No, it's not. Is this study going to contribute to a larger body of questions that surround endocrine disruptors and our health? Yes, that is what this study is talking about, because it's not just talking about parabens, it's also talking about things like oxybenzoin, okay, which is another thing that I covered just in February because of its role in sunscreens related to the Hawaii ban. So endocrine disruptors is the topic that I feel passionate about when it comes to personal care products. I don't get really into the carcinogen thing because I feel like that is even more harder to prove or to draw conclusions from. But where I really am passionate is about endocrine disruption. So I bring this back up because I think this study illustrates again and again some of the points that I continue to harp on, that the cosmetic chemistry side never seems to hear. But I myself am a healthcare professional, I'm an RN, and like I have said in the past, I don't bring that up to tell anybody that I'm more knowledgeable or an expert, but rather to say, from a healthcare perspective, there's information out there that should cause us to be concerned. Okay? So first things first, I want to look at who's conducting this study. Is it cosmetic chemistry? No. It's the Biohealth Research Institute in Granada, Spain, Gynecology and Obstetrics Unit in a university hospital in Granada, Spain, General Surgery Unit, they were contributing to this, Granada, Spain, Gynecology and Obstetrics Unit at another hospital, another university hospital in Granada, Spain. Hepatic and digestive diseases in Madrid, Spain, they contributed part of this study. Epidemiology and public health contributed to this study. Radiology and physical medicine department in Granada, Spain. Is this a healthcare focused study? Yeah, it is. Okay, so again, why are healthcare professionals asking questions about these ingredients? Because these are the people seeing patients, young, healthy women with endocrine disorders, and asking questions as to why. Why are we seeing these things pop up more? Why are we seeing young women that are otherwise healthy popping up with endocrine disorders? So that's something I really like to drive home that I don't think gets talked about enough, is when we just focus on it, the impacts of these chemicals from a cosmetic perspective, we're not going to see the 3,000-foot view that these other disciplines are able to see. So basically what they did is they evaluated women with endometriosis in different stages. They evaluated their personal care product use, and then they looked at their urine. Okay? Now, if you wanted to come in and pick this study apart, could you? Sure, why not? And at the very end of the study, they point out that, I want to read from their words directly. Do they say, like, hey, parabens, oxybenzoin, like, these are causing endometriosis? No. What they're saying is this sheds some light on potential risk. Now here's, again, another point that we make in this group, our group, saying, let's step back from endocrine disruptors in our personal care products, is that we see study like this after study like this saying potential risk. We know that the body absorbs parabens, oxybenzoin, it gets absorbed well. We know that the body does excrete some of it, but we do know that it ends up in tissues. Do we know what it fully does when it's there and the long-lasting impact? No, we don't. That's why study after study after study keeps being done. Okay, so here's some other interesting things that they point out that I think is another great aspect. And of course, I'll link this study below so that you can check it out. So when these groups go to study something scientifically, they're always going to reference the other research that's been done. They're going to sometimes talk about it in the beginning, saying, okay, well, here are some of the previously established things that we know. So when they start talking about endometriosis and personal care products, they say there's not a lot of studies that have been done about this. In fact, there's only one other one. So I've seen cosmetic chemists come out and say, well, that's not a body of evidence. There's not a body of evidence of people that agree that parabens or oxybenzoin shouldn't be in your personal care products. And what I've continued to say is, that's because we haven't necessarily done the research yet. So what are we gonna know in 10 years? So again, I just always find problems with their logic. So now I want to read a couple things specifically from the study, which I think are interesting. I'm not going to keep this video long. Obviously, I've harped on this topic so many times, and there's so many people that agree and support this idea that we fall into this precautionary principle with these ingredients. So in the study, they say there is increasingly epidemiological evidence of a relationship between exposures to endocrine disrupting chemicals and an increased risk of estrogen-dependent gynecological disorders, including anovulation, lower antral follicle count, infertility, miscarriage, preterm birth, polycystic ovarian disease, endometriosis, and fibroids. So again, I bring it back to the fact that who are the people asking the questions? Who are the people concerned? It's the healthcare professionals. Okay, and the last thing that I wanted to point out was this other quote, was that our group recently reported the generalized presence of oxybenzone and these other parabens in menstrual blood, indicating their intimate contact with the endometrium. Our findings lead us to suspect that these endocrine disrupting chemicals might alter the uterine microenvironment and trigger signaling pathways that could in turn favor the development of certain gynecological disorders, including endometriosis. One of the things that are commonly said is that our body excretes these chemicals, so we don't need to worry, except that we find them in tissues and blood products and all kinds of other areas in our body where there's no explanation of why they should be there. And so my last point that I want to make is that what is another central theme that they make at the end of this study? Is that they're saying, we're just looking at 2 endocrine disruptors, and we're not taking into account every person's personal risk on top of their environmental risks that they're already receiving. So that's another point that I like to make, is that there's no way to do a study to just look at me and my individual exposure and my family heritage and my genetics and calculate it all together. And that's another reason why it's going to take longer for us to really connect the impact of these chemicals. So anyway, that's it for this video. I know this is a topic I keep going on and on about, but I keep feeling that we are under attack for asking questions. And so I just want to be here encouraging us, stay strong, no matter what gaslighting messages you're receiving. There's information out there. There are studies out there saying it's okay to ask questions. It's okay to avoid ingredients because you think the verdict's still out. There's no fear-mongering here. There's no avoid all these chemicals, you must, or you're going to develop endometriosis. No, just common sense. Just the blend of science and intuition. Your favorite sunscreen has oxybenzone, you want to use it, fine. Your favorite vitamin C serum contains parabens, you want to use it, fine. But it's the general overall questions of the combined risk of endocrine disruptors. So anyway, another video from me about parabens. I will link the study below. Thanks for tuning in. Bye.